What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Brevik, aka Big Brev, but you probably know me from this sound.
Voice the colors
I am the co-founder and CEO of StudioBrev LLC, as well as a retired professional opera singer. I received my undergraduate degree in voice pedagogy from Plymouth State University, and then I earned my master's degree from the New England Conservatory. I also was featured on the cover of Opera News back in 2014 when I had a little less facial hair. Today, I'm a recording artist and your vocal coach. We are going to be breaking down my latest cover of The Sound of Silence by Simon Garfunkel that was later reprised by Disturbed. So I'm going to be taking a deep dive on this whole song, what it means to me, what I have done with the text, my subtext. We're going to be going into things like my super objective. We're going to be getting pretty down and dirty with this one. So without further ado, 1, 2, 3. The Sound of Silence. So right off the bat here, we got just ethereal, atmospheric backing track. There's piano in there. There's chimes in there. But what I want you to really look at is where the lead character kind of starts off, right? So he's sitting on the stairs, and this is really important because later on, you're going to see how this all kind of ties together. And so for this performance, what I want to really focus on with y'all is the subtext, the super objective, that kind of a thing. So the super objective, what this is this is the overarching goal, right? So this is the Stanislavski method, and Stanislavski was huge on finding that overarching goal because without that, there's really no reason to perform a play or a musical, a movie, a song, a monologue, right? All of these things need to have an overarching goal, right? Without it, there's really no point in doing it. So my super objective in this song, right? My interpretation of this song was to heal, right? Now, a super objective, you want as few words as possible so that while you're performing, you can kind of think of that trigger word and then boom, you're back in the moment. Because we have a tendency to have brain farts when we're on stage, right? I mean, it happens to all of us. So we immediately think of that super objective and we're back in the moment, and everything that we do on stage is to support that super objective. Everything that we do that has an artistic choice, whether there's distortion in the voice, maybe you're lifting your soft palate more than normal, maybe you're singing through the hard palate, or maybe you're adding some vocal fry, or your dynamics, breathy tones, things like that. All of those things we use to support the super objective, and that also plays in to the filming of a music video. So I'm sitting on the stairs, I'm looking at what looks like what's a pebble. I picked up a pebble and I was looking at it, and it was all just internal thought, right? I want you to imagine that this character is very heady in this moment, and I'm going to be talking about why in just a moment.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
All right, the most iconic part of the song, the very beginning, right? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Notice how my vocal folds are very relaxed, right? It's a little more relaxed. I'm not making crazy full closure, where that would be more like, hello, darkness, my old, but it's also not super distorted. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's kind of like somewhere in between. So I don't have a lot of distortion, but because the vocal folds are so relaxed, there's like an almost windy, breathy kind of color happening there, right? And that's a really important choice because this character right here is very down and out. I used this song to represent a really hard time in my life. And I think in order for me to really get this point across and to really drive it home, I think I need to tell you about that. And it's a very vulnerable thing for me to talk about. But back in 2022 or 2021, actually, I received a false diagnosis. A doctor told me that I had ALS. And I mean, I get emotional just thinking about it because it spiraled me into the hardest, just the worst year of my life. For anyone who doesn't know, ALS it's terminal. And it hit hard for me because my hero growing up, someone I was very close with, actually, they had ALS, and I lost them, and it was really, really hard on me. So whenever I got that diagnosis, I mean, that's who I channeled was that person. I channeled him because I absolutely loved him, and he gave me the strength to really fight through it, honestly. But I was in this really dark place. I got really depressed, and you know they talk about the 5 stages of grief, right? So the first stage of grief, as we all know, is denial, right? And then you go into anger, and then eventually you go into bargaining, and then depression, and then eventually acceptance, right? Well, in this video, I'm not going to make it through all 5 of those stages, but I am going to get through the first 4-ish, because I'm never going to quite get to that acceptance. Spoiler alert. But anyways, at the beginning here, I'm really just, I'm in denial, and I'm really just like, I'm down and out. Like this was a lot for me to handle, right? And the worst part about it was I couldn't get a second opinion for 6 months. So for 6 months, me, my wife Jen, we were just terrified, and I didn't even have the heart to tell my immediate family, like my mom and my brother, until a little time later. And so Jen and I were really just kind of going through this alone, and it was really hard on us. And so that breathy tone, "Hello, darkness, my old friend," is way more appropriate for that kind of a feeling than "Hello, darkness, my old," or even "Hello, darkness, my old friend." You know what I mean? So it's like kind of finding that, just like that desperate vocal color. Another thing that I wanted to address, because a lot of people have asked me, why didn't you take the song lower? Because obviously I could. I've had great friends even sing this song, and they sang it quite a bit lower. Like one of the covers, I think the Bobby's cover, Bobby Bass, it's amazing. You should go watch that too. He takes it quite a bit lower. He's down here. "Hello, darkness, my old friend." And then I even think Jeff Castellucci takes his down. "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." And I totally could, and that would still work for my subtext at this portion of the song. But I really wanted to get to that part of the song where it gets high, you know, in the 4th and 5th verse. And I wanted to just lay it all out there. Like, because that's when we get to that, like, that anger stage of grief, right? And if I was down a whole step, or in Jeff's case, I'd be down 2 whole steps, well, then those high notes aren't really high for me anymore. And I'm not like having to lay it all out there on the line. And so it was a difficult decision for me to do, to kind of sacrifice some of the bassiness in the beginning. But for the sake of my subtext and supporting, you know, my meaning of this, my super objective, I decided to do this key instead. And so, yeah, just wanted to address that because I've had a lot of questions about that.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
So let's kind of dive into some of these backing vocals. So you probably hear in the back, there's some ethereal, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." Those are like the voices in my head at that moment. That's what those really represented to me. When you're in that headspace, that's really all you have, is those voices in your head and that doubt, right? And those, I wanted to do like kind of spooky voices, very straight and breathy. You could tell I'm kind of more in the like cricothyroid part of my voice, a little more falsetto in there. And I want you to really listen for those harmonies here.
Oh, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because the vision softly creeping,
Backing vocals going to ooh,
left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain.
So now we have that little riff. That was planted in my brain. the reason I wanted to put that there is because I could have went, that was planted in my brain. I could have went that direction, but on the word brain, I really wanted to get this feeling of mayhem, right? Tangled. And so I did this little descending riff, planted in my brain, right leading into the word brain. And so that kind of gives it more of a just kind of jumbled type texture. Also at this moment, the backing vocals go from that ooh, from ooh, which is a little easier to blend, to ah, which is brighter, right? So there's the emotions are growing at this moment.
Sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence.
All right, we are getting into the subharmonics, but before that, within the sound, you'll notice it's the one time in that phrase, the one moment in that phrase where the folds come together. Now, this is thyroarytenoid phonation, right? So this is chest voice, deep chest voice. And I could have kept it breathy, within the sound. I could have went that direction, but I kind of wanted to start getting this character, like building him up. He's starting to get the courage, right, to do something about this, right? Because anyone who's ever been in that point of their life where they feel down and out and they just feel lonely and depressed, right? Just getting out of bed is tricky. Like, that's tough. Just getting the courage to do that is tough, right? But this character is starting to get that, right? You can hear it within the sound. Then he goes breathy of silence, right? The reason I didn't go to a solo sub, because I could have went within the sound of silence and put a sub there. My subs are not that great right now. Sorry. It's very late. I could have put a sub there, though. The problem with that is it doesn't support my super objective. I mean, think about subharmonics. They take effort. The perfect breath flow, right? It's the perfect combination of thyroarytenoid phonation and then mode 0 vocal fry. The perfect combination of that, getting the oscillation pattern of the vocal folds just perfect. It's a lot of concentration, and someone who's kind of down and out like that, they don't have that kind of they don't have the energy for that, right? They don't have the energy for that. The best they can do is just barely get it out, kind of whisper it of silence. Like, even that's a lot for that moment. And so I didn't want to do a solo sub. So what I did instead was I highlighted subharmonics in the backing vocals. So going in now to the second verse here, what I want you to notice in the backing vocals here is these men come in, and I wanted them to look rather stoic. Like, they've got their eyes closed, but they're stoic, right? They look confident. And we're going into that dreamlike state where we have these stoic men, and they're giving off like this almost demonic vocal quality, right? They're just laying into those subharmonics. And those men right there, what they represent to me in this song and at this point in my life was they represented that demon that I always felt like I had on my shoulder. At this point, like I said, I just got this awful diagnosis. I'm in a really dark place here, and I've got that little demon in me, right? And I just can't shake it. He's there. He's constantly there, right? And looking back at it now, there was no demon. Those men up on that screen. They do not represent demons to me anymore. Once I got on the other end of this, right, and I got through this grieving process, I look back at that time now and I think, man, I'm really glad I went through it. I mean, sure, it was the worst year of my life. It was the hardest year of my life. But in a lot of ways, it was a year of growth. Like, I really grew spiritually, as a human being. I literally break my life up into two categories: my life before that moment and my life since. And I salute those characters that were in my head along the way, and that's what those subharmonics there, that's what they really represent to me in this moment.
Still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. halo of a street lamp.
All right, so when we get to this point, I wanted it to sound a little dimmer, right, at this point. And so I took the subharmonics out and I went back to the ethereal vocals. I did have some backing vocals that ended up getting taken out. My character at this moment, I wanted to portray that he was kind of going, he was just getting nuts. He was getting stir crazy. And so in the backing vocals, initially, I had a cuckoo clock in the back. And I wanted this cuckoo clock to be kind of ethereal again, right? Like I wanted to have it have lots of reverb and really just kind of blend in. And so it was going to be and I was kind of oscillating between cuckoo and just and it really gave it this I don't know, it sounded like a cuckoo clock. It was it was cool, but the problem is it kind of takes you out of the texture there. It's kind of like, wait, what am I hearing back there? And so my producer and I ultimately decided to take that out and to stick with the more atmospheric, falsetto-y backing vocals. But I did want to bring that up because that was one of the original choices.
I turned my collar to the cold and damp when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the name.
All right, so I want to go back to some of this text painting there. There was but my eyes were stabbed. So text painting on stabbed. I almost wanted to jolt out of the texture like I'm being stabbed. My eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. Pulling off there, but also a tiny, very minute little yodel flip on flash. Like a flash of a... And all a yodel flip is it just means that for a split second, our voice goes from using cricothyroid dominant phonation to thyroarytenoid phonation. So we're going from CT dominant production to TA dominant production, right? You can do a clean handoff from those two muscles where you'll get like, right? Where we're all, nice little clean handoff there. Or we can kind of fumble it and get more of a, like a little voice crack. And that's called a yodel, right? Now a yodel would be, that's like, so that all that's happening there is cricothyroid to thyroarytenoid bouncing back and forth, right? And I wanted there to be like a little bit of that nuance here. Now it's minute in this case, right? But I did want to bring that up because it was a choice that I made for text painting for this moment.
I turned my collar to the cold and damp when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night.
And for a split second, that split the night, he gets the courage again. He's building more courage, right? So he's not where he was at the beginning of the song anymore. There's more power in there. There's more strength. There's a little more courage, right? That split the night. But ultimately, I go back to that breathy tone to end this phrase.
And touched the sound.
A little breathier here.
Of silence.
But now we're going to go into, remember we were talking about the stages of grief? We're going to go into the stage of anger. So this third verse is going to be about that anger that comes with grief. And so you're going to hear it in the vocal distortion of my voice. So all that I'm doing is I'm relaxing the false vocal folds. They're going to vibrate freer now. So you'll hear them kind of vibrating back there. But also the epiglottis is going to be vibrating a little bit. And so you're getting a vocal distorted sound. Now, a quick thing about vocal distortion, especially with the false folds, is when we sing opera, we actually want a little false fold engagement, right? Like I have what they call medial compression of the false folds. Now what happens is they come in and they give some strength to the whole mechanism so that while the true vocal folds are vibrating, they're not taking such a beating, right? As soon as you relax them and everything kind of goes limp, the true folds don't really make a subtle movement. They start going really, making a lot of movement. And it's amazing looking at this under a high-speed scope. We do have some cool footage of this. But what happens as a result is it's easier to get that tickle. Like a lot of people, when they're singing like this, get that tickle, and it takes a lot of practice. And you got to build up stamina, which like singers like, David Draymond from Disturbed, and you're probably insert your favorite metal singer. They have a lot of stamina doing that. At first, you're going to get a tickle, but that's what we're doing here. We are relaxing the false vocal folds, allowing them to vibrate, and we're getting that. But also, what I want you to notice in this angry verse, going into the anger, that stage of grief. That there's a tenor harmony coming in, right? And he's not singing full-fledged opera. He's actually, and again, it's me. I'm the tenor in this case, but I'm tilting my head up. I'm singing through the hard palate, but I'm getting a full-bodied sound by also lifting my soft palate. So now my sound actually is going through the hard palate, but we're also getting more sympathetic vibrations because the soft palate's lifted. We're going to get a rounder sound, right? We're changing the formant, the vocal tract, very so slightly. And I really want you to listen for those tenor harmonies here.
And in the naked light I saw.
Here, I'll help you out. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. And it keeps building. People talking without speaking. The crazy part about this was I did all of this full voice. I belted all of this, and that's why it sounds so full there. It was just one of those days. My voice was super high, and I was like, ooh, we're going to do some really cool background vocals for Sound of Silence. And eventually, we're going to go up to a high C. That voices never shared. You're going to hear that high C down to the B, right? I'm not Pavarotti. I love Pavarotti. As you see, I painted Pavarotti. He's right here on my wall. I can't sing a high C quite like Pavarotti, but from time to time, I can get up there. And so I want you to listen to those backing vocals.
Sound of silence.
Remember, we're going into the anger part of this.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence.
All right, so filming this music video, let's talk about that a little bit. We filmed this music video behind my gym, actually. So I go to Club Fitness, and I was on my way to the gym, and Jen looks outside, my wife Jen. She looks outside, and she's like, whoa, it's overcast. Today would be a great day to film for Sound of Silence. But I was like, but babe, I want to go to the gym. And I had my bag ready. I'm going out to the car, right? I literally have my gym clothes on. And she was like, I'll tell you what, let's just do a little filming. Let's find a spot maybe near the gym. Now, our film location that we were going to do was nowhere near the gym. But I was like, all right, let's see if we can find something. We're pretty limited with budget. We didn't have a budget for this. And so that kind of made us work within the parameters, right? And working within the parameters is great for creativity because sometimes you come up with stuff that you never even thought you could. And so we found this amazing location right next to Club Fitness. Actually, it's around back of Club Fitness. It's technically part of the building that they're in. And when we saw it, we went, oh my God, this is where we're filming this. It was the perfect spot because it has all those layers, right? That first layer that I started on, plus the stairs, and now we're on that top layer. So for this verse, I wanted to be angry and all jacked up. So you can see muscles are flexing. I'm in full-fledged, just like jacked mode, right? I'm a hardcore weightlifter, as you could probably tell. I've been lifting weights since I was literally in 6th grade. They said it stunts your growth, but I'm 6'5", so I don't know how big I'd be if I didn't. Maybe I'd be 6'7". I don't know. But I wanted to like showcase the just the overall frustration and anger and like the aggression in this verse. And so we got up on that top level there and had Jen looking up at me. Well, in one of the videos, because all of the lengthening agents for this are this type of lengthening agent, where I actually have to honor the curve, right, as we've talked about in past videos, honor the curve, sing through the hard palette. That's going to give you a pop, rock, even like a modern Broadway musical theater belt type sound, right? I'm singing through the hard palette instead of an opera singer who would tilt their jaw down and lift the soft palette and sing up this way through the soft palette, right? I'm not doing that on this verse. I do that at other parts. But because of this, I was looking up while she was looking down at me or looking up at me. And, well, this is what I looked like. I look like a jacked Muppet, I guess. And so we had to completely change the lengthening agent for the music video, which I hate.
Ooh, can we do the All right, well, I couldn't see your mouth, so there's no point of you singing it.
I can't look down and do it, I don't think.
Well, you don't actually have to do it. You can just scream, like fake scream. Don't actually do it right now.
Video, which I hate. I mean, it's tearing me apart. It's why I'm talking about it here. So this me looking down is not how I was singing in the actual mix of this. Yes, I did sing it back there, and I'm loud, and people in the building were coming out to see what the heck's going on out here. But technically, it had a different color, so it still gets the message across pretty well, I think, though.
And no one dared disturb the sound of silence.
And using consonants to really get that point across, that frustration within the sound, the duh, right? Putting a shadow vowel at the end of that really drives that point home.
Fool said I, you do not know.
All right, so before I even really get into this verse, we are getting into the stage of bargaining. So this is the third stage of grief. I'm entering the stage of bargaining at this point. That's why I'm literally reaching out at the camera right there. And my character in this verse gets so overwhelmed and just so in the moment, right, that he can't even sing. And so you're gonna see that the lead vocal stops, and instead he goes up into you're going to hear some opera vocals here coming out of the vocal distortion, which is pretty tricky to do. Like, you're changing lengthening agents mid-verse, right? And then instead of singing the verse, I'm just going to scream, and I'm going to scream this high G. Now the G, this is G, what is it? 1, 2, 3, G4. Yeah, the G above C4, the G above middle C. That G is the money note for like operatic, dramatic baritones, which is what I was going to become if I had kept going on the path of opera. I don't think I think I would have trained myself to be in that, more in that rather than following the low bass down. I could have done either, but I thought that was a really exciting path, was dramatic baritone. My favorite baritone is Cheryl Milnes, and he's got an amazing high G. And so I wanted to throw a high G in here that was just relentless. And so that's what I do. I sing the high G because I'm so overwhelmed that I can't even sing the verse, right? And I give an offering, and you'll see me put my arms out like this, looking up at the universe, just begging for something, because I'm going through this hard point in my life. Remember, I told you I got that crazy diagnosis. I thought that I was done. And so I'm not even trying to cure myself. I'm just looking for answers. I'm looking for something. Show me something that's going to help me get some clarity here and find some contentment in this. That's why my super objective is to heal. It's like heal my soul more than anything, right? And then when the lead vocal stops singing, that's when the 50-person choir comes in, opera choir, all full voice opera, all me, just all tracked over each other. And so I want you to pay attention to all of that in this whole verse.
Of silence, fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. But my words, like silent raindrops fell.
All right, so there's still a bit more to unpack there. You'll hear in the very beginning of that verse, the bass comes back in. Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. You get them backing vocals coming in there. It's a little deeper. It's a little heavier, right? You have me giving the offering, but also on the backing vocals of Grow, silence like a cancer grows. And I wanted that to be like, I wanted to feel like the tentacles are just coming out and growing and just taking us in, right? Like that's what's happening there. Grow. And then I come in the silence like a cancer grows. And then we go into that E and then off into the high G, and I just scream, right? Like, ah, it's crazy, right? Like this is all that I was trying to get across in this verse here. And you would think that this is the climax of the song at this point, but it gets even heavier. It gets even bigger than this. So let's just go back to some of those harmonies that you might have missed.
Sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. But my words, like silent raindrops fell.
Honestly, this is really tough for me to even talk about. Like this was such a hard part of my life. When I got to this, when I was recording this, I was having a tough time getting through this, to be honest. But my words like silent raindrops fell. That's exactly how I felt. Like every day I was begging, I was pleading with the universe, with the powers that be, show me something, give me something to help me heal, not to take this away from me. I don't even want you to take the illness away from me. I just want you to give me the strength to find some contentment in this so that at least my final days here can be good, right? But my words like silent raindrops fell. And when I sang that, what was happening was I was going, but my words like silent. I was going to silent, and it sounded too pretty, right? And so finally I went into the booth and I was like, nah, throw this away. Get rid of all the technique. Just go out there and freaking sling it. And so I wanted to go with a brighter vowel, silent, which is much harder to sustain from a pedagogical standpoint because I'm not lifting the soft palate now. So I'm not getting as much of that lengthening agent that I really would like. I'm not getting the space back there to really get that sound out. Instead, I'm spreading and I'm actually making it a little bit less stable in there, but it's perfect for the subtext. I mean, it literally supports it so well. And I actually did get that snippet of the studio right here.
But my words, like silent raindrops fell.
And so when I landed that, I listened back to it and I just went, I think that was the take. And I mean, I took probably a few more takes. I don't even know if this was the one, but when I landed that one, I was like, that's how I'm going to sing this. And so that's what we ended up going with in this recording.
And echoed in the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon gods they made.
All right, so getting really exciting here. This is my favorite verse. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon gods they made. Oh, absolutely love it, right? And in fact, I do have the tidbit of that from the recording too, which is right here.
And the people bowed and parade to the neon gods they made.
And notice that it's not to the neon gods. There's a yodel in there. Gods. There's a big time yodel in there to give it even more effect. It's like praying to the gods, right? And in the backing vocals, I want you to pay attention because that 50-person opera comes back in with, and the people bowed, hallelujah, hallelujah. And the tenor's taking up to that high B, and it's just massive. It's a thick, full body, full opera choir. My producer and I call this the Met Choir. Actually, David Korn's my producer for this project, and he is absolutely incredible. In fact, I did this whole project for him, and I did it on the wrong microphone, and I did it in the wrong space, and I sent the whole project to him. And I went to Florida. I was on vacation in Florida, and he messages me and he's like, "Hey Danny, this sounds incredible. Like, this sounds so good. I think this is going to be the best version of this song yet." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like, "Unfortunately, you have to re-record all of it." I was like, "No." I was like, "What happened? What's the problem?" He's like, "Dude, I don't like the room you're in." Or he literally laid out the whole room. He knew what the room was. He could tell me what the room looked like. He knew that he could tell me where the closet was. He knew the mic I was using, and he was like, "No, we need to get you the Shure SM7B. I think that'll work better for this. In fact, this is the microphone that a lot of singers use. I think it was even used in Thriller, Michael Jackson. And so I ordered the Shure SM7B, and I put together that makeshift booth that you see there out of moving blankets, which are like acoustic blankets. And this was what I ended up sending him after. Lots and lots going on in here, though, right? There's so much. I mean, I recorded all of this twice, right? And which was kind of cool because I made some different choices the second time. But what I want you to really listen for in this is that whole Alleluia choir coming in on "And the People Bowed and Prayed."
Hallelujah. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon gods they made. And the signs flashed out its warning in the ways that it was promised.
Another cool thing. So Jen, my wife, she's also my vocal coach, right? She is not, however, a professional videographer, but she did a great job. One thing that happened by accident in this was, for a split second, the camera went out of focus, and it happened on the word words, right? Which is perfect because it's like, finally, I'm being heard. I'm getting an answer, and the words are there, but they're freaking blurry. I can't even read them, right? It's just like it happened. It's almost like it was meant to be. And when I saw the video, I was like, "Oh no, it went out of focus." But then when I listened to where it went out of focus, I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome. This was meant to be."
And the signs flashed out its warning in the ways that it was forming. And the signs said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls.
All right, and you're seeing now I'm on the second level down. We're starting to get back to where we started. Actually, that's kind of what's happening. We were on the top level. We went through the whole portion of the offering. Super angry. Now we're getting into the depressed phase of grieving, where we almost feel like we're back where we started. Right? It's that cyclical part of grieving, right? And so this character is back on that second level, and we're going into a little more breathy singing at this point. You're going to hear that in this next phrase. It's actually the first time that the lead vocals use a more cricothyroid dominant phonation, which is, like I said earlier, it's the falsetto head voice quality. All of this is pretty much in my full chest voice, right? which we call thyroretinoid. Is it all full chest? Well, debatedly, academia is now saying that pretty much nothing is full chest, that we do recruit some cricothyroid even when we think we don't. Who cares? The color is what I care about, the different timbre that we're getting, and we're actually now going to go into a more cricothyroid dominant timbre. However, there's added distortion. So the character might think he's back where he started, but he's not. He has grown from this. He's not the exact same person at the end of this particular journey, right? Every day he might go through this, but every day he gets a little bit closer to being healed, right? To finding some peace in all of this, right? And so you're going to hear some of that distortion right here.
And whispered in the sound of silence.
So the way the song started was within the sound of silence, right? Deeper, it's way more thyroretinoid dominant phonation, right? Here, this is cricothyroid, so it's not the same. Something's changed. He has evolved a little bit. He's also recruiting, he's getting more distortion. So the false folds are a little more relaxed. The epiglottis is more relaxed. And he's getting that within the sound, which is very much, that's very much cricothyroid in there. It's definitely a little more tender than it was in the beginning. So it does show growth within this whole grieving process. Let's actually show that again.
And in the sound and tenement halls and whispered in the sound of silence.
All right, so a few things here. So after that verse, you'll notice that there is a little instrumental. So we've come from all of these aspects of grieving, right? Where we went through the first one, which was denial, into anger, then into bargaining. Now we're going into the depression, right? And what I really wanted to show here, coming out of the offering portion of this, right, where we're literally offering ourselves to the powers that be, we're going into a more somber state, right? And so I wanted a gap there. So I actually took the track that I was singing over from my producer, and I chopped it up, and I added that, and I just told David, I was like, I don't know what I want there. Maybe strings, maybe piano. I don't really care, but I need a little gap there. I need something there to let my character come down from this panic attack, for lack of a better term, and kind of go back into that somber state. And that's what gives it that feeling of like, hey, we ended the way we began. It's like very cyclical.
And halls and whispered in the sound.
And then we go into the shh, right? We're going back into that now, which means we're back in our bedroom. We're back just moping. We're back where we started. We're just living in our head, quiet, with all these backing vocals, with all these voices in us, with that little demonic presence that was there. That's all still there. We wake up the next morning and it's like, we're back. We're right back where we started. And that's what I wanted to really show with this particular song. I wanted to show that. I wanted to tell the story of that part of my life. And I feel like I did. I feel like I really got it out there. And you'll notice that the character is back where he started. He's back on the stairs, right? We started on the stairs, right? This is where we started, right? And now this is where we're ending. We're on the stairs. We did go through a journey. There's a journey there. Obviously, we didn't sing everything the exact same way at the end that we did in the beginning. But the character feels like he's back where he started, and that's what this feels like. And for anyone who's ever gone through something like this, like, look, if you're going through something like this, word to the wise, my friend, don't do it alone. You know, reach out to people you care about, friends, family. If you can't reach out to them, find help, you know, through therapy. And don't feel like you have to attack this alone, because we're definitely stronger if we seek help. And so that's one thing I would like to throw out there while we're on this subject. Couple other things to talk about here. So music video. I did say we didn't have a big budget. I wanted to talk about that. Like, I'm big on this. Take imperfect action. A lot of people have asked me, like, hey, how'd you get big on social media? You know, I have a little over 2 million followers now across all these platforms. And it didn't happen because I had all the coolest equipment and I knew how to do stuff like mixing and mastering and all that. I still don't know how to mix. All I started with was my phone and the little earbud that came with it. That's how I made content in the beginning. And you'd be surprised. You can be really creative with very little. And so I hope that inspires you to get out there and start creating. Like, for this music video, the reason I bring that up, we had a couple of phones, right? We used our phones, and we didn't have a nice set, but we found this area. This looked perfect. And within the limitations, we were able to get a lot of that across. And I think one of the reasons that we were able to be so creative with this was because of the limitations. I like to relate it back to, like, when opera singers sing music, they get a score, like a whole score. It's like 400 pages, but it was written by someone else. Like right here, I got my little Mozart. So when I sing a Mozart aria, it's not like I wrote the lyrics, right? So I have these parameters to work in, right? In other words, I don't have this big budget where I can change the lyrics, I can change the melody, I can change the instrument. I can't do any of that. I have to work within the parameters. And so what it does is it forces me to kind of dig in deep for my artistry. How do I make this different? How do I make it mine? How do I make this song, this aria, mine? Right? When I sing like Beethoven in the beginning, you see the Beethoven bust back there. I love Beethoven. But every time I sing my Beethoven's Ninth, it's always a little bit different, because I'm always trying to tap into something a little bit different with that, within the parameters that I can work within. And so I love that. I love digging in deep. You'll notice I dug in really deep with subtext and super objective with this whole thing. Every choice I did to support the message. One of the biggest, my biggest inspirations for storytelling is right here. This is Frank Sinatra. I painted him on that sound panel. And the reason that I think that I take to this so much is just because I listen to so much Frank Sinatra. I mean, that guy could tell the most boring story, but make it would be so entertaining. Like he could tell a story of sitting down at a bar and some guy just saying, give me one more for my baby and one more for the road, like whatever. He's just kind of moping the whole time. But when Frank sings it, it's so telling because he gets so into the emotion of the song. And that's what I want to pass on to y'all, that's what this is all about. In fact, if you want help with that, my wife Jen and I, we do love helping people. I want to help people get to the point where they can take all their emotions and put a subtext together and find all the vocal colors within their voice and really, really paint that picture, right? Give you all the colors within your palette to paint and to really portray the emotions that you're going through. And so if that is something that you're interested in, check out the description, StudioBrev. We take auditions. And so if that's something you want to get better at, definitely check us out. Also, while you're at it, check out my merch. We got the Big Brev merch. This is the Big Boats Low Notes logo right here. So check that out. But guys, I'm just so grateful that you were even here watching this video. So definitely like and subscribe, because I love making these and I want to keep making them. And if you have any questions, anything that I've talked about here, anything about maybe you heard something in the song that I didn't cover, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of Easter eggs in here that I can't even scratch the surface with. I would have to make a 2 or 3 hour video to really go through everything. Throw your questions in the comments. I'd be happy to get back to you. But otherwise, yeah, just thanks for sticking around, like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.